Hey guys, what's up, what's happening? You got the King of Games 98 here at your service. How y'all doing? Hope y'all are doing good and staying safe. And, well, another Englishtown Raceway Park swap meet has come and go, and so you guys know what that means. The pickups video. Now, by the time this video goes up on my channel, it will have already been a week ago since I was there, both selling stuff in our spot and buying stuff. Now, if you have never watched any of my previous Englishtown Raceway Park swap meet videos, then you have no idea what I'm talking about. So, what is the Englishtown Raceway Park swap meet? Well, it started out as a car-focused swap meet. Car parts, whole cars, that sort of thing. Then over time and years, it just became anything and everything. So I go to that twice a year? Or would it be considered once a year? No, it'd be once a year. One in the spring and one in the fall and one in the spring. Yeah. So I've been hooked on Englishtown ever since I first went with my dad, and I've been going ever since then. So, without further ado, this will be my fall 2024 Englishtown Raceway Park swap meet pickups. Now, for the record, in the vlog type video, I recorded some stuff I got and some stuff I did not record in that video, so some of it will be a surprise and new to you guys. Others, you'll know. So, without further ado, we're going to start off with this guy. Now, this was the very first thing I bought at the Englishtown Raceway Park swap meet in the video, and I recorded that video the first day. Oh my God, I almost forgot to mention. The Englishtown Raceway Park swap meet is 3 days long. It starts on Friday, goes into Saturday, and it goes into Sunday, but basically by Sunday it's done by about 1 o'clock. So, yeah, forgot to mention that. So, I recorded the vlog video on Friday. I did not record anything on Saturday, and I did not record anything on Sunday, mainly because I thought it was best to record on the first day. And I think it was. So anyway, this was my very first pickup on Friday and in the vlog video. This is a broken, look at how disgusting them battery terminals are. This is a broken DMG model Game Boy. And it was $3. That's what he had on it. Now, do I intend to get this working again? No, not really. But for $3, it was worth it to me in parts. I mean, my God, the screen is fucked up. It's got dead pixels in it, But for $3, I was like, that's worth it to me in parts just to have, You got buttons, button membranes, the speaker, if it works, that is. I would say the screen, but the screen is shot, let's be honest. It's got the power switch. Ew. I don't want to know what that is. I just noticed that too. It's even got the link port connector. The link port connector piece that covers it. It's got some good stuff. So for $3, I was like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. So that was the very, very, very first pickup of the swap meet. This would be the next pickup. Now, I'm going to try my best, ladies and gentlemen, to do this in the chronological order of which I bought the stuff in, but you'll have to forgive me. It may not be exactly in chronological order because even though it was just a week ago, I'm actually having a hard time remembering. So this was the next thing I bought. This was on a random vendor's table. excuse me. And it said PS3 arcade stick, $20. Now, it is the Tekken 6 Hori brand made arcade stick wireless arcade stick controller. And I know this arcade stick pretty well because I have it on the Xbox 360. Now, the Xbox 360 version connects to the console automatically and doesn't need an adapter. The PS3 one does need an adapter plugged into the console to connect to it. I did not know that, and when I saw it, I just gave her the money, and I bought it. And my buddy Jonathan was with me, and since I was recording on my phone, I probably should have asked him if he could have Google searched this if it needs an adapter, and then I would have realized that, and then I probably would have passed on it. But you know what? That's okay. That was my fault. That was my bad. However, the stick itself is in really good used condition. Like, I don't want to say I regret buying this, but I thought that I could use this right away, and I can't. Which is a shame because I do actually own fighting games on the PlayStation 3, and now I can't even use this to play them with, you know? Look at the battery terminals. These battery terminals look immaculate. Whoops. Got a little turned around there. They look so freaking clean. It's not even funny, guys. Like, if they used this stick, then they took really good care of it, is what I gathered from, like, doing, a once-over, like, check of it, And all the buttons are very responsive. Stick is good. It's tight. So, I don't know. Do I regret buying this? No, because it's cool looking and it's a Hori-made arcade stick, so it's a good quality arcade stick. I just wish I would have known that it required a receiver to plug into the PlayStation 3 to be able to use it. And clearly the person selling it didn't realize that either. Or maybe they did. I don't know. But yeah, that was next pickup. Okay, so this is going to be kind of random. Okay, so all 4 of these items came from the same guy. I believe his name is Mike, but I'm not 100% certain on that. Now, this guy always sets up every year, both in the fall and spring, at the Englishtown Raceway Park swap meet, and he's always in the same spot. And what does this guy sell, you ask? Well, vintage toys, collectibles, memorabilia, and retro video games. So, once I discovered this guy, I made it a point to always make sure to walk onto the other side of the swap meet just to check if this guy was there, and if he was, what he had with him for sale. And boy, am I glad I did that first thing Friday morning. So he had a stack of instruction manuals, very random. They ranged from the 80s to, I would say, 2000s. And I was happy to dig through them. What I ended up grabbing was Star Wars Episode 1 Racer on N64's manual. Turns out I already have it, though, but, whatever. This Batman Returns Sega Genesis poster, which is so damn cool, because I love the 89 Batman and Batman Returns Tim Burton movies, and it's promoting Sega Genesis and other Sega games on the Genesis, and I think peripherals like controllers and the Menacer light gun and whatnot. So I was like, I dig that stuff, so I have to have that. And then last but not least, this is the creme de la creme. This was the banger out of all the manuals in his stack of manuals. Fire Emblem, The Sacred Stones on Game Boy Advance. I have this game, and that's why I wanted the manual, because I have it loose cartridge only, but I don't have the manual or box to it. So I was like, ooh, I need to grab that. So I grabbed these 3, brought them up to him, and I said, I want these 3. How much? He said, $10. And I nearly fell over because that alone has to be worth the $10, if not more. And I, was recording, so I couldn't check on my phone. But this Fire Emblem, the Sacred Stones manual, has to be worth something, at least more than the $10 I paid for it. So now that brings us to We're Back, a dinosaur story on Super Nintendo. Now this is very random. He had random video games from different generations and different consoles on a table next to actually the stack of manuals, and he said any game in that area on the table is $5 each. Well, I saw this, I pulled it out, looked at the label. Label is not mint, but it's in really good shape. It's just got this sticker on the back and on the back label, but the cartridge is really clean. And I turned to my buddy Jonathan and I said to him, I just bought this game while I was on vacation over the summer, but that copy is kind of crappy. The label is part of the cartridge is faded, and it's got writing on the actual front part of the cartridge. And I paid $7.99 for that copy in worse condition than this copy. So I told him that, and I said to him, do you think it'd be stupid if I paid $5 for this just to upgrade my copy and then resell that other copy? And he looked at me and he said, no, why would it be stupid? If that's a better condition copy, then that's an upgrade to yours. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? You're right. Thank you. And I bought it off of him. So technically, all this was bought off the same guy for $15. Really hype and happy about that. Really happy. So if you watched my vacation pickups video, then you would have seen I got this game from a game exchange store in Connecticut. And I was very happy to because, like I explained in that video, I grew up watching this movie and I did not know there was a video game based on it. And there's actually, I don't know if it's the same as this game, but there's a Game Boy game based off that movie too that I would love to find. So $15, really can't complain, really happy with all them. Okay, so next up we have this big guy. Because YouTube hates copyright. That's what you get. Yep. But no, seriously, this is freaking dope. I love this so much. So this came from a vendor on the dirt side area of the Englishtown Raceway Park swap meet, who I bought from in the past before. He was the same guy I bought the 80s or 90s era Ninja Turtles, the van. What do they call it? The party wagon? Yeah. He was the same vendor I bought that party wagon off of, I think a year or two ago. So when I saw him, I was like, oh, I got to see if he brought good stuff with him, and, I need to dig. So I saw this, and, the box is a little beat up, but it's got tape on both sides of the box. Now, granted, the box is not in fantastic condition, but for 2006, I thought that was in pretty decent shape for its age, I mean, it's not in perfect like new condition, but I do believe, now there's a couple of missiles, I think, rattling around in the box. I do believe it is brand new factory sealed, but I could be wrong. However, someone put this custom label barcode over the original barcode on the box, and they said, zoom in, new. So going off of that, I'm assuming this is in fact brand new factory sealed for all intents and purposes. I mean, again, the box is not in great shape, but it's freaking cool to me because I love Star Wars and I love Transformers. And as a kid growing up, I had one of these. Not the Millennium Falcon specifically. I had, and I'm glad I still do have it, for the record. I kept it all these years and I still have it in my Star Wars collection. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi Interceptor, but it transforms into Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he wields two, not one, two blue lightsabers. It's really sick, and then the lightsabers double as missiles, and they shoot out of the Interceptor. It's really, really cool. This whole line of Star Wars Transformers crossover was really, really cool. This actually shows more on the back. I did not know there was a Boba Fett one. I did not know there was an Anakin Skywalker one, Jedi Interceptor. The Darth Vader is Darth Vader's TIE Advanced. That's sick. And there's apparently a Darth Maul, which is his Sith Infiltrator. That's really sick. I would love to find more of these to add to my collection. Not necessarily brand new factory sealed. Even if they're used, I would still take them. But yeah, found this beauty over in the dirt row off of this guy who I bought from for $10 freaking dollars. $10. That's what he wanted for that. And I was like, oh my God, that's a no-brainer. Yes, I'll take that. Like, are you kidding me? Friggin' Toys Today brand new cost more than that. I was like, my God, that's crazy. Okay, so these were the next pickups, if my memory serves me correctly, in order. And these all came from my buddy Preston. Shout out to Preston, man. In the vlog video, I did get a little footage of him as me and Jonathan were walking up to his spot, but I paused the video because so in the vlog video, I didn't record making deals with any of the vendors, even if they were friends. I still did not record negotiating, haggling with them. I did not do that because I don't feel right doing that. And I know other YouTubers do it, and the other ones don't do it because they don't like doing that. Well, I don't like doing that. So that's why there are stops abruptly in the vlog video. So, okay, so Preston had some really cool shit, as you can see here. When I last saw him was actually at a flea market not too far from where I live, so that was funny. Apparently he lives not that far from me in New Jersey, so that's cool. And he had a lot of shit then at the flea market, and then when I saw him now, he did not have as much. He admitted to me that he sold a bunch of stuff and cleared out a lot of inventory, and this was what he had left. But there were still 3 things that I wanted. This is the Island Blue color Sony PS1 wired controller. Now, this controller in this specific color variant came out during the PS1 mini console's lifespan. And I dig it. For those of you who don't know, blue is my favorite color. I love how this controller looks. This controller is gorgeous. It is beautiful. I love it. It is staying with me in my personal collection. Next up, we have Captain America and the Avengers. I personally have never played this game before, but I looked up gameplay. This is a sick side-scrolling beat-em-up by Data East, of all companies. And I was like, you know what? I like me a good beat-em-up, especially when it's under a good licensed property like a Marvel series, i.e. Captain America and the Avengers. So that was a no-brainer. And then last but not least here, we have Batman Beyond Return of the Joker on Game Boy Color. Now, I'm going to get in really close. As you can tell, the label is kind of dirty. faded a little, but I don't see this game very often. And for those of you who may not know, I love the Batman Beyond animated series and, of course, Batman the Animated Series. And as for Batman Beyond, well, there was only one video game ever released, and it was based off of the Return of the Joker movie, which, if you've never seen, is a fantastic movie. And the video game was released on Game Boy Color, as you see here, Nintendo 64, and PlayStation 1. I believe the N64 version, I think, is the most valuable. It's either the N64 or PlayStation 1. I think it's the N64 version, though. And the Game Boy Color, I think, is like the least expensive of the three versions of this game. But either way, I was like, dude, I got to grab it. So I said, what do you want on these three? And, you know, we talked a little bit about prices. You know, he knows what he has, you know. So I don't need to, you know, say that I got one over on him, because I didn't, you know. But basically, you know, we talked for a few minutes about, you know, this is worth that, that's worth this. And then he was like, throw me out an offer, you know, that won't insult me. So I said, how does $40 sound for the three? And he countered me with 50. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. Even though it's $10 more, I'm still going to do it, because I want all these for different reasons, as I just said, and he's my buddy. So $50 for the three. I ended up looking up the values later that day, and I came to the amount that this is like $53 worth in value of the three items. So I actually ended up doing pretty good. And, you know, those three I'm keeping for myself in my personal collection, of course. I'm not reselling any of them. So next up, we have this guy. This is a Nintendo brand Wii U Pro Controller in the black color. They released these in the black color and the white color to match the Wii U consoles that were in black and white colors. And I'm ashamed to admit, but I still didn't have one of these controllers for my Wii U. And, you know, I had a chance once at a local video game store, but it was the white color variant controller. It was the OEM Nintendo brand, but it was just the white color one. And I was like, well, it's not really going to match my console, because mine's the black color Wii U. And so I passed on it. And since then, I've come across some of the third-party ones, but I'm like, I don't really want them. I want the OEM Nintendo brand ones. So lo and behold, I found this controller on a vendor's table with an NES and a Wii and various games that belonged to both and some not. And I did a quick once-over with the buttons. They all felt really good and responsive. And I looked it over. And I picked up the controller, and I was like, how much on the controller? And the guy said, $8. And I said, yes, sir, done deal. So I finally held out. I held out long enough, and I waited, and I got this for $8. I have not tested it yet. I really, really hope it works, because I would like to keep this controller and actually use it on my Wii U. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's see. Okay. So this looks like this would be next in chronological order. So Saturday, or no, I'm sorry. Wait, was that Saturday? No, I think it was Friday night. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Friday night. So Friday night, around 5, maybe 5:30, I took a walk onto the dirt side to see, you know, what was up. I was actually, so part of me wanted to find Preston again to kind of, you know, hang out and, you know, have a couple drinks with him, you know, party with him a bit. I didn't end up finding him. And when I ended up seeing him again, he had left long gone before then. So that's okay though. But I went back to the vendor who I bought the Star Wars Transformer Millennium Falcon off of, and he had this bag of Legos. It's very random, and I see this body. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Why does that look like? And then I went, Obi-Wan Kenobi? What? And I was like, holy crap. So I held up the bag and I was like, how much for this bag of Legos? And the guy's like, $5. And I said, yep, done deal. So I mainly bought this bag just for the buildable Obi-Wan Kenobi figure because it looks like him from like the Clone Wars, or I guess you could even say Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And I was like, dude, that's a really cool looking figure. I want that figure. And for only $5, why not? After I bought the bag and got back to our spot, I looked closer at this black car thing. And I went, oh my God, that's a type of Batmobile because that's Batman and Robin in the cockpit. So for $5, I got a buildable Obi-Wan Kenobi Lego figure and a type of Batmobile with the Batman and Robin minifigures in the cockpit from the Lego Batman movie. I couldn't go wrong at that price. I just couldn't go wrong. Okay, so these are going to be a little random, but that's okay because even though it looks random to you, I have a reason for buying them. So this was bought from this guy named Mike, who my friends Ryan and John and Spanish John introduced me to a couple years back. And they basically said to me, he every now and then gets in video games. You should really check with him. And I said, okay, thanks for the heads up. So Friday night, I'll say around maybe 6:30, after getting my drink on and having a good beer buzz, I saw Mike in his spot. And he was set up in the row in back of where we were set up. So I said, oh, well, I'm just going to mosey my beer buzzed ass over there and see what he has. So he had a white launch model Xbox 360. Guys, I got to be honest, I don't really touch them unless it's a rare special edition version 360. I just don't touch them because they were made so poorly with the freaking GPU and CPU overheating causing red ring that I just don't touch them. So I wanted no parts of that. And then I asked him for video games and he points to a tote. And he didn't even, get to it yet to put out on his table. So I dug through it and he had some random games for miscellaneous consoles and then some cords and controllers. And among the cords and controllers, I found this OEM Sony brand PlayStation 2 Slim 8.5 volt power brick. These are very good to have spares of because you never know when you'll find a PlayStation 2 Slim without the power brick. 99% of the time, in my experience, they're always missing the power brick. So it's always good to have a spare one or two on hand in case you need it. Then I found these two memory cards. Now this one is a silver GameStop brand 1X GameCube memory card. It says Memory Cube 59. And I don't know what it holds per se. But I was like, anytime I see a GameCube memory card, I just got to pick it up. And then I found this Interact brand 16 megabyte PlayStation 2 memory card. And I said, you know what? I'll take these two memory cards too. So I brought all three items up to Mike and I said, Mike, how much for these? And he said, $8 for all. And I said, done deal. So, yeah, I keep spare video game cords, because you just never know when you're gonna get the console in and need the power cord or an AV cord. You just never know. And for that reason is why I do that. Okay, this would be the next pickups in chronological order. This is the Sega Genesis Arcade Power Stick, the 3-button arcade stick, and Miracle Warriors Seal of the Dark Lord on Sega Master System. Now, very random, I know. So what do these have in common? Well, I bought both of them off of my buddy Tom. Now, Tom is a fellow video gamer, game collector, and Transformers fan. So we both like a lot of the same nerdy type stuff, and we kind of sell a little bit of the same nerdy type stuff. So he had this, and he had that, and he's been carrying these for at least a couple of years now. Why do I know that? Because I kept seeing these same items on his table the past few years. And, well, I have the arcade power stick loose, and I have Miracle Warriors Seal of the Dark Lord on Sega Master System, but mine is missing the manual and the map. His arcade power stick is complete in box with the original Electronics Boutique price tag on it, and his Miracle Warriors is complete in box with manual and the map. So he had 55 and 45 on both. So that would have been $100 even. I asked him, if I bought both, what could you do? He said 80 for the pair. Not a bad price, but I was more thinking like 70. So I countered him with that. And he said, well, wait, you said you're set up, right? I said, yeah, take me to your spot and maybe we can, do a little trade. So I was like, okay. So we ride bicycles back to my spot, and he looks my stuff over. He sees some Star Wars 90s era action figures that are brand new. He finds a Power of the Force, I think it was Lando Calrissian, and was like, how much you got on him? And I said, $3. No one really wants them figures, and they're not worth a whole lot. And he was like, well, I like Landos, so I'll take them. So then he goes and digs through my games and my mangas and doesn't really find anything else he has to have. So he goes, all right, tell you what. How about we do $75 for the pair and you throw in Lando? And I said, done deal. I'm like, that Lando don't mean squat to me. And I did tell Tom that why I wanted these is because I have this loose and I have that boxed. So now that I have both of these complete, I can resell my loose arcade power stick and I can resell my boxed Miracle Warriors. And I should be able to get about $30 for that loose and $40 for that boxed. So I should get almost my $75 back that I spent on these complete. And for the record, that guy alone is worth about $80. Miracle Warriors complete is worth $50. So for $75, I did pretty damn good as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we are coming down to the end here, guys. WCW Mayhem on PlayStation 1. This is really random, gotta be honest. This was bought late on Saturday, maybe like 5, 6 o'clock, I'll say. And this dude had a plastic tote full of CDs. And this, of course, was mixed in there because PlayStation 1 games are mistaken for CDs. And when I asked how much, he said $1. I was like, you know what? I got to take it. The disc is kind of scratched to hell, but for only $1, this game completes only like $10. If I can at least get it to work, that will be a pretty good flip. So, yeah, I'm not a big wrestling guy, but I know other people are, so I figured why not for $1. And then last, but certainly not least, I found this Grateful Dead, I think it's a live compilation album, but I could be wrong, back at the vendor's spot who I bought the Millennium Falcon Transformer and the bag of Legos from on Sunday morning. I dug through, he had totes of movies, anime, and CDs. I dug through all of them. And I found this in the one tote towards the bottom. Now, for those of you who may not know, I am a huge Grateful Dead fan, or a Deadhead, as they are referred to. And when I found this, I was like, yo. But then I saw that, and I was like, if it's $25, I'm not paying that. Like, that's crazy, you know? Now, it was not $25. And when I asked how much, the guy goes, ignore the price tags on them. Anything in that bin is $1. And I went, okay, I will take that for $1. And as you can see, it is a 4-disc compilation album on CD. Now, I started looking through the songs, and this has got really good stuff on it, such as Mexicali Blues, Good Lovin', Uncle John's Band, The Stranger, Sugar Magnolia. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to obviously sing or play any of the music from this album because YouTube would copyright that faster than I could say boo. So, yeah. And what's amazing, now the case itself is a little shot. What's amazing is, for this being a 4-disc CD set, all 4 discs are there. Now, 1 or 2 of them is reasonably scratched, but I was like, you know what? For $1, that's just a no-brainer, because I can take this to next level. And it's got the pamphlet in there too. I can take this to next level and have Nick, the owner, resurface the 2 discs and just pay for them, you know? So for $1, I was like, dude, that's a no-brainer. That's an absolute no-brainer. Now, I was informed that this same vendor had some really good video games in those totes, and Preston got a couple Zeldas, Mario Party, and some anime game he never heard of for like $5 a piece, he said. So that's crazy good. And that's great for him. You know, I'm happy to hear that he did pretty well selling and had some good buys. That's great. I mean, would it have been great if I found them? Yeah, of course it would. But, you know, snooze you lose, as they say. And my buddy Tom on Saturday must have stopped back at that vendor's booth, and he was told about Preston's finds. He dug all the way down in the one tote, found the case for Castlevania Lament of Innocence on PlayStation 2. Decent Castlevania game. Not the best, not the worst. He opened it. The disc inside the case was not Castlevania Lament of Innocence. Instead, it was Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I believe he said it was the greatest hits variant because the disc was completely silver and did not have the picture of the castle on the disc. And he bought that and a few other things for like $5. And when he told me that, I said, you absolutely stole that Symphony of the Night. You know that, right? And he was like, yeah, I know. And, you know, for reference, I checked the value of Symphony of the Night, loose disc only, specifically the greatest hits variant. And that's about like a $50, $60 game, I want to say. Still loose disc. And he bought that and a few other things for $5. And I was like, wow, you made out like a freaking bandit, dude. You really did. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for my fall 2024 Englishtown Raceway Park swap meet pickups. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know down below in the comments section what was your favorite item that I picked up while I was there. Thanks for watching, and take care.